All right, so hopefully the 30-30 squat challenge is treating you well. I'm sure it's been difficult. This is probably the third time I've done it and it's still difficult. But anyway, this video is going to be talking about supplemental things that you can do to help the resting squat position be a little bit easier and a little less foreign to your body. Now, it's important to note first that the resting position is the squat. It was a resting position before it was an exercise. So what I mean is, even if it's difficult for you right now, you need to know the human body. That is the for lack of a better term, the paleo chair. It's before we had chairs, and even you go into countries that don't have chairs or have low tables. The squat position is a very comfortable position. So if it's uncomfortable for you, that's likely just because, like me, living in Western civilization, we have chairs. We don't need to sit in the squat. But the good thing is, since your body was designed to be in that resting position, with work and patience and time, over time that will become a better position. And that is, even though it's still somewhat difficult for me, it is a lot less difficult than it used to be. So supplemental things that you can do to help the resting squat be a little more comfortable. Let's talk about floor culture, specifically sitting on the ground, okay, is what we're talking about with floor culture. Again, due to chairs, we kind of lose touch with the ground. But this is a very important capacity to be able to have as an indicator of adequate range of motion in your lower body and good spinal and core health. So I just want to go over briefly a few positions that we can do and some ways to modify. So first we have the classic crisscross applesauce, all right? This is just a seated position. Your back doesn't have to be completely straight, but I will say that if you're leaning back or feeling like you're really fighting for this position, you might want to think about a modification, which I'll get into in a minute. Also be aware of occasionally switching your feet around. The reason for that is whatever leg is on the inside, in this case my left leg, my left knee is in a little bit deeper flexion than my right. Something to start building awareness on there. I typically go with my right leg on the inside, which is fine, but I don't want to lose flexion. I don't want to have more flexion on my right side than my left. So call it OCD, call it what you will, but occasionally I will try to switch sides, okay? So that's number one. Before we go into different positions, again, like I said, if you're really finding this is not a comfortable position, or maybe after only a minute or two your back hurts or things get really uncomfortable, you can use an elevated surface like a pillow, a few pillows, a textbook, because what this does is it elevates your hips, and see, automatically, without even trying, I'm much more upright now. So don't be afraid to modify. That's a very important kind of lesson number one, is don't be afraid to modify, if sitting on the floor directly is uncomfortable for now, okay? Because let's face it, if it's super uncomfortable, you're not gonna wanna do it again. All right, position number two, we have the half straddle, okay? So that's just very simply put, one leg is bent, like the crisscross applesauce, one leg is out to the side. It really doesn't matter too much how far out it is. Obviously, as you'll feel by exploring this, the farther out your leg is to the side, the more of a stretch it places on the groin, okay? And then obviously the other side. Then we have the full straddle. Again, with this position, kind of like the crisscross applesauce, I'll turn around here. If you find that it's pretty uncomfortable to sit with any amount of upright position or on your sit bones and you're like this, you might want to think about, again, sitting on the pillow, and see, automatically it dumps your hips forward and just makes this position much more comfortable. So again, consider modifying. We have what I believe in yoga, and if you're a yoga person watching this, feel free to correct me, the saddle position. So you're sitting on the top of your feet, okay? This position is about 90% comfortable for me now. There was a time where it was about 40% comfortable. And the fact is, guys, if you want things to be more comfortable, you gotta start exposing yourself to it in small doses. So you're sitting, this really good stretch on the shins, but again, over time, you can actually be relatively relaxed in this position. for a little bit of toe extension. You can also go on your toes. This one is definitely still uncomfortable for me because my feet are tight, okay? And then you can go into what I've learned as being called the fisherman squat. So that's one foot is kind of in that saddle position. And then you're kind of in this half pseudo squat position, okay? So a couple things in closing. Number one, all of these positions are effective. And for me, I don't ever sit in one position the entire time I'm on the floor. Your body will tell you when it's time to switch sides or time to switch positions because things will get uncomfortable, things will get tingly, and you'll know when that happens. Your body will tell you, okay? So just make sure that you're listening to your body, and then just go into a different position. And it's perfectly normal and a good thing in the amount of time you're in the floor to be switching positions all the time, okay? So that's lesson number one or lesson number two really, is switch positions. And then the other thing too, and I really don't have any examples with me, but if you're working from home or you're gonna be on a laptop for a little while, or you're gonna be reading a book, pick a lower table, like a coffee table, to set your laptop on. Make sure you have the right seating arrangements to where you can be relatively comfortable in this position for a while, and have different options to where, again, you can sit relatively comfortably for a while. Another thing I don't have an example of, but you can consider using, is a relatively short stack of textbooks or like a small crate to get you into kind of that deep squat position. But because you're sitting on it, you also have some support there. So just some tools for you guys to supplement for the 30-30 squat challenge. And really, overall, this is a really important way to make your mobility stick long-term, all that hard work you put in for your mobility. This is kind of, the analogy I use is kind of like if you don't like spinach or kale, but you grind it up in your smoothie anyway, you don't really know that you're having kale, but you're getting the benefits from it. Similarly here, having a 20-minute mobility session where we're really focused on it is very beneficial for obvious reasons. But when you're sitting in these positions for a while and you're really challenging these positions, this is mobility work as far as your body's concerned. But maybe for you, it's a little bit easier to do it this way than really devoting that time. So anyway, hope this helps, guys. And that is the session. We'll talk to you next time.